And I don't know what that was. The first item will be to approve the minutes of June 11th. We have no A&Rs, I don't believe, tonight. So the first item will be a discussion of our meeting schedule. After that, we'll have a town planner update, then old and new business, and after that, adjournment. So, has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes of the June 11th meeting? I think we're all present, so if there's any questions or anything? If not, can we have a motion to approve as submitted?
I make a motion to approve the June 11th meeting
Thank
as
you.
it's submitted.
And a second?
Second.
Second, Sue. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye, opposed, no one. Very good. Okay, Jean, do you want to give us an introduction on the discussion on the meeting schedule?
Yes, so a while back, I think most of you are aware, the Board of Selectmen changed the late night here to Monday evenings, which has, I think, probably worked out well in at Town Hall, but over here, there's only a few people that work evenings. So Charlie's come in a couple of times and said, you're the only one here? Or, or myself and Cindy. There's only really myself, Janae, the conservation agent, and the building department admin and economic development that work nights. So when you only have 5 people that work nights, a lot of times one of us is here, or maybe 2 of us are here. And then I have to change Janae's schedule around all the time because she doesn't get paid extra to work at night. She only gets so many hours a week. So if she's here at night, she needs to be off later in the week. So we tried it a couple of times where she was working the 2 nights, staying with me, and then she's off every Friday or part of Thursday afternoon. So it's just been difficult, and I didn't want to raise the issue because I'm salaried, suck it up, it's my job. But then when Charlie raised it, I said, yeah, as a matter of fact, it is a little uncomfortable if there's only one person here at night, and especially in the summer, it's been really noticeable, people are on vacation. So I don't know if that works with your schedules. I did send you kind of that tentative schedule. We would try to rotate with the, I don't have the calendar that I sent you, not in the packet, Janae.
Oops, I am sorry.
So, yes, not in my packet anyway.
No.
Here, I'll take hers.
There you go.
Thanks, everyone.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. So, we would try to rotate with Board of Selectmen's meetings, only, in the rare event we needed to use Town Hall. But I did check with Cable Access, and they can film both meetings at once. Only one goes live at a time anyway, so we'd be like tape delay, and Board of Selectmen would be live. So, it really, I think the trickiest part would be in November and December, and we try to just do one meeting in the middle of the month, so we might overlap with the Board of Selectmen then. So I didn't know if you could do that. I didn't know with your work schedules. I have heard from some of you, but not all of you. But if you would be amenable to that, then we would change our August meeting to the 19th instead of the 20th. We'd have to be here the 20th anyway because we have a housing meeting that night, but at least it would start us on that path. And then in September, we would do the 16th, and if we needed an extra meeting, I would kind of maybe move it around. Because of the Labor Day holiday, it throws things off. You could always meet on Tuesday, the 3rd. The Board of Selectmen does the same thing with the holiday. So we'd be a little bit in flux, but we are right now anyway. We kind of base it upon applications. So I didn't know how anyone felt about that. It would probably make our lives a little easier, and I think make this building a little safer in the evening.
I think that's a big part of it, the safety part of it too, because really, it used to be, that
Everybody was
everyone
here.
was there, and then they switched it. So, it would work out better if we can do that. So, I have no problem with it. I know Wally had raised a concern about the community preservation meetings that he's on, but there doesn't seem to be much of a conflict
Didn't really
with that.
seem to be much of a conflict. So last year they met 5 times. Once was on a Tuesday, once fell on one of our meeting nights, and the others fell on Board of Selectmen meeting nights.
Yeah, usually when they meet, they have the selectmen there as well, so that's
Yeah.
probably one that would be easy
Right.
enough.
Yeah.
So I think it was Brad and Dane you didn't hear from?
Yes,
Yeah, so.
yes.
Do
I have
we
no
any
problem with
issues
that.
with them?
No problem with me either.
No.
So
Okay.
why don't we go ahead and do it? Do we need a motion or anything, or?
I think it would be good.
Why don't we make a motion then to move our regular meetings from Tuesdays to Mondays.
To Mondays,
On the
okay.
schedule that you proposed.
Okay, give or take.
Yeah.
Give or
'cause we
take
can
on
be
the
flex- 'cause we have been
schedule.
flexible
We need
because we
to.
haven't had that much, so we have been able to do, one meeting a month sometimes. so.
Yes.
And if it gets busy again, we'll still have the 2 meetings a night, so that, a month.
Yep.
Good. Okay, so does someone want to make that motion then?
I make a motion that we change our meeting night for the planning board from Tuesdays to Mondays on opposite days to the Board of Selectmen,
Where possible.
where possible.
Great. Okay, good. Second, very good. Any other discussion? All in favor? Very good.
All right,
Okay.
great, thank you, appreciate that. So our next meeting will be Monday, August 19th, and we will have a public hearing for the small parking lot for the Grand Trunk Trail on River Road, and potentially recreation. I'll talk about that, I think, a little later in my report. Maybe I don't have it later in my report, so maybe, actually, could I talk about that now,
Sure,
Charlie?
go
So,
ahead.
so our next meeting will be the 19th. We will have the public hearing for the parking lot for the Trails Committee. That's already been approved by the Conservation Commission. Also, you'll recall at town meeting, the Recreation Committee received funds to do ADA upgrades at the Recreation Center. So we were hoping to hold the public hearing on August 19th. However, the stormwater will not yet be approved by the Conservation Commission because the engineer did not submit the required documentation that's needed. So Conservation's already started hearing the project, so the way the bylaw is, the first board to touch it is the Stormwater Authority. So I really need them to approve the stormwater. However, from our standpoint, it's very simple because handicap accessibility requirements are exempt from zoning anyway. So I didn't know if you were comfortable holding the public hearing, approving the site plan, with the condition that the final revisions from Conservation, if any, be provided to the planning board or to the planning department with an overview, or if you wanted to wait until September to hold the hearing.
Good.
Yeah. I don't understand why conservation is part of the ADA. or the
It's
recreation.
on the lake. It's on Cedar Lake.
Oh.
It's the recreation area.
Okay,
So it's
I
new,
get it.
it's new handicap parking spaces, it's new walkways to get a child down to the beach that you may
Correct.
not be able to. It's the
Right.
playground improvements. It's a lot of the things that were called for in our ADA.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem
yeah,
like the
updates.
Conservation would change anything that we really have, so I think it'd be
Yeah.
more expeditious if we could do it at the August meeting.
Because they'd
and
really
then-
want to get out to
Yeah.
Yeah, then
bid,
they'd be
so,
ready to do it.
Makes sense.
so if that's
All right.
okay.
So why don't we do it that
All
night?
right, so
Sure.
provided the engineer drops off all the paperwork that
Great.
he's supposed to drop off, we'll do that on the 19th as well.
Okay. Oh,
So we'll
that
have
sounds
those two
good.
public hearings. Okay,
Great.
perfect. All right. And then, you just want me to keep going, Charlie?
Sure, good, with the update, perfect.
So MassWorks grant update, we are finally at the 90% design for the signalized intersection in front of the Noble Energy. This is what will allow the EV Discovery Center to go forward. Making progress, never dreamed it would take this long. I just hope at the end of this process, they're still able to build the EV Discovery Center. So, and just to be clear, I've received a lot of calls, but the signal was not necessary for the Travel Plaza. That did not meet the warrants. So if they only came in and proposed the Travel Plaza, we wouldn't even be designing this signal. This was to accommodate the EV Discovery Center with the conference space and the restaurant and, all the educational components of that. So we'll keep plugging away, and we are close. So there's only in the grant, $17,770 remaining in the grant. The owner has had to kick in an additional $88,000 due to additional Mass DOT requirements for study. We knew we wouldn't have quite enough to design the signal, but then we were required to do a whole new traffic assessment too, so.
And I have a question about that. Why is the owner responsible for, or we are responsible for the traffic study when it's the state who's held it up? Why can't they be held responsible for the financial burden?
So it's to benefit a private developer, so they have to bear the cost of it, so.
Even though it's the state that held it up and it was fine when it was first submitted?
I can't say it was fine, it's their review process, so,
The state's review.
yes,
Yeah, they
Mass
certainly
DOT.
raised issues over a period of time.
Yeah.
Quite a
Yeah.
few,
I'm just
actually.
asking.
Yeah.
Putting it out there because
Yeah,
I want people
The
to
signaling in
understand.
itself was something that the developer wanted. It wasn't required by the state or the town to have that signal in the first place, or?
well, the EV Center, they made the argument that the EV center would meet the warrants for a signalized
The
intersection.
additional
They really
vehicles for that
didn't-
center would
yeah.
require
The
that.
threshold
Yeah,
conditions.
you remember,
Yeah.
it started out with, ideas about having the signalization, then they went back to the roundabouts, the double roundabout, and
Yeah.
the single roundabout. I mean, when you really look at it, I mean, there was an awful lot of money and effort that developer had to spend on this. I mean, his consultant had to be the one to come up with the layout for that double,
Yeah.
peanut-type
Right.
roundabout. And then also, determine all the areas that had to be taken for land taking to make it work. And then once they saw the cost that it would be to acquire all that land, they went back to apparently the single one down the road. Is that the idea?
They went back to the single one, which required a lot of land takings. And I kept saying, we're not going to be able to do this. We have to go back, we have to go to town meeting for land takings.
Right.
And so then they finally agreed, I had to get Rob and Grimm involved, and we had a meeting with a lot of Mass DOT officials, and they came out from Boston as well, and finally said, oh, yeah, we see what you mean. And then there was somebody there from a different district, and she said, well, we've have precedent on this. We've used a signalized intersection as temporary mitigation while Mass DOT figures out what they want to do with the corridor. So that's when they finally agreed that we could revert back to the signalized intersection. So if you remember right, I've been administering this grant for going on 3 years. We started with the designing a signal, then they changed it to the roundabout, then a peanut roundabout, then back to a roundabout, then back to a signal. So that's how we're so much over, the grant was the grant.
Yeah, what was the
250
original grant for again?
250,000. And then Nobles paid an additional 88,000 toward the design.
And the status is we're at 95% design.
90%.
90% design for the
90%.
signalized intersection, so I assume DOT will have another round of revisions and then the extra 10% until we go to bid?
Yes.
Got it.
So.
Or not
yeah.
we, but the project?
Yes, yep.
And the
Yeah.
understanding that this is signalized intersection is still potentially transitional.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's all at the developer's expense. So when we started this process, the cost was roughly 2.3 million. It's probably more than that now.
And
So-
one could assume that it could take a decade for the state to make any moves towards those changes.
Supposedly when they finish their work, like in Millbury area, then they'll be doing a corridor study for this section. They're doing work in Charlton, Millbury, and then I guess we would be the next piece of the corridor that they'll look at holistically and determine what the best improvements are.
Okay, thank you.
Gee, do you understand the history? I have no idea of the traffic light at Amazon in Charlton. How long did they wait for that?
Not very long. That project was filed roughly around the same time, which is why they ended up getting lumped together. They had to coordinate their traffic studies and all of that. So, but yeah, that seemed pretty quick.
Didn't
It
it?
did.
And that's what my thought is. And,
Yeah, I can't speak to the Charlton process. I did go to all the planning board public hearings, but as far as the Mass DOT, I wouldn't have been, I was included in a couple of meetings, but.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm sorry, Gina, one last question on that.
Yeah.
Could you remind me how Hall Road finishes at that? It's still going to be a stop sign?
It
And then
still
you
will
can
be a
still take a
stop
left
sign.
and a right from Hall Road?
Right now, you will still be able to take a left and a right from Hall Road.
Does the queuing for that signal extend past the Hall Road
No, it
intersection?
should work fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
should
you.
work. That was one of the issues that we raised all along.
Yeah.
We thought maybe the signal could have been placed at Hall Road, but
Or somehow,
yeah.
yeah, it's going to be different, taking a
Right.
left.
Yeah.
Okay. And you can still take a left onto Hall Road from
Yes.
20 as of now at the
As of right
90%
now,
design?
Yes. I think eventually you're going to see just like the other towns, you'll see a median up Route 20, and there won't be any left-hand turns. And you'll notice too, up by 49, they made a turnaround, so you can go up there and turn around now. So I think it's coming sooner than later. I think they'll start prohibiting left-hand turns out of places, and you'll need to go up in reverse direction, just like you do in Shrewsbury and other places.
Right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then just, I know it's not really yours, but because you were kind of in on the ground floor of this, so the Affordable Housing Trust has hired a consultant, Karen Sonneborg. We actually had a meeting right before this meeting, and we're starting to design some grant programs to create affordable housing, help first-time home buyers get into homes. I'm really excited to work with her. She has a great deal of experience in education doing exactly this for a lot of other communities. She's worked in City of Boston, New York City. She brings a lot to the table. Wally's on the Affordable Housing Trust. I think you'd agree. She seems very knowledgeable.
She's quite
Yeah.
good, and
Yes.
great experience.
Yes, I agree. And then also, if you've been downstairs, you've noticed we're tearing the room apart, trying to make room for another desk for a third person. We've advertised for the housing coordinator. I do have some applications and resumes. Some look promising, so I'll go through those the beginning of next week and hopefully schedule some interviews. And we'll have a part-time person to take the lead. Will work under me, but will take the lead on a lot of the housing programs.
Right. And so this will really be able to, provide the means for us to be able to use our community preservation housing
Absolutely.
fund. Because we do have, well over 300,000, don't we?
We have 1.2 million.
Wow, that's even bigger than I thought.
Yeah, we have 1.2 million.
You weren't wrong.
Well, every year we do get,
Right.
10% has to go into it, so I guess
Yes,
it does
might be
grow.
even a little higher than that now, but
Yeah,
when I,
it's closer to 1.5
when I was,
right
when I was preparing the
I mean,
budget, it
that's-
was around 1.2.
And that's really good. It'll be certainly a good use with a lot of,
Yes.
good programs. So,
Yeah.
finally, we'll get some benefit out of that.
Right,
I mean, really.
and not everything will count towards the subsidized
Right,
housing
right.
inventory, but it will still help, first-time home buyers and displaced. The program we looked at today was just 55 and over, first-time home buyers, displaced persons, single parents. There's a whole category that the down payment assistance. So she's working on 5 programs for us. One's down payment assistance, a buy-down program to reduce the cost of the home, a rehab program, which we can't fund that out of CPA funds. We'd have to seek grant funds for that. And then also trying to develop the criteria for a friendly 40B
Right.
for in the future. So we're making progress. I feel good about it after all this time.
Great,
So,
very good.
90 Charlton Road, they've replaced all of the trees along the driveway that were knocked over by the trailer truck. So I've closed out that permit, and they are actually finally applying for signage, so they need a special permit for the sign on the building, and then they're actually also proposing a freestanding sign, which they need out at the road. I haven't seen the final designs yet. but
Where is
that-
this exactly?
That is the smaller cold storage facility on Route 20.
Okay.
The smaller of the two. And then the next item is near map, and I'm just going to give you a little demonstration. So this year in our budget, we were able to have near map funded. So I wanted to show you that we have it on our website. So if you go to the Town of Sturbridge GIS, and this is you'll see over there on the left-hand side the near map imagery. So it's a much better resolution, and we are able to put out a layer for public consumption. It can't be used for commercial purposes, obviously. It's just, for Sturbridge, people going to our GIS. But there's the senior center under construction, and look at the clarity on that. You can see into the dumpster.
Yeah.
And then conversely, could you just bring up like the 2019 aerial? I mean, well, that's the old one, so that's no tree cover. Go to the 2021.
Oh, you can't get that
Yeah, you're
close
too
to that
far,
one.
yeah. So it just gives you that, kind of really good view of what's going on. So it really has a lot of applications, assessment purposes, planning purposes to see kind of what's near there, wetlands. You can see change over time. These
live?
maps are done every 6 months, so staff actually has,
Is it live or-
in our login, of course, we have, we have a different,
She can have that. Yeah. These are every 6 months. Sue asked if this was live, but you actually see pictures that were taken at a particular time.
yep, so that's what I was just explaining. So these flyovers are done roughly every 6 months, so this is from April 2024. And for staff purposes, we also can load obliques, and we can actually, for fire and police, they can go around the building, and they can see where entrances are, they can go on rooftops to see, what might be there for apparatus. So it's a really good tool. We just, I was just getting people set up today on this, and we were able to put it out on the public website. So just wanted to make you all aware, if an application comes in, you're not sure where it is or what's around it, take advantage of this, bring it up. If you can't make it out to the site, this is like the next best thing for you, is, to be able to look at this, so.
Just an interest question. Can this go live for like the police or fire so that they can evaluate a site,
They all have,
active site,
yeah, they all have access to it. It's not live view, it's 6-month-old view.
even for them?
Yeah.
They have a
yeah.
flyover.
It's yeah.
That they actually take the pictures on a certain date and then put them all in. and
Right.
update.
Right, but I didn't know if it would be helpful for safety and security.
It doesn't go
in town.
live. It's
Okay.
actually a flyover. Yeah, it's satellite imagery and actual flyover for certain things to get the obliques, so.
That's something.
But it is, every 6 months. And what's kind of interesting is when we were demoing this product, I used my property because we had just built a house 3 years ago. So I was able to go all the way back to when it was the old original farmhouse, and you could really see when they logged, when they put the foundation, so it really gives staff the opportunity to see development over time. And then we actually had an enforcement case in town, which I won't say the site, but I was also able to go back 3 years, and we could see the drastic change around the wetland area over time. So we were able to prepare screenshots to provide that to town council and to the conservation agent. So,
This is awesome.
Yeah, it is
So,
awesome.
so every 6 months, this gets updated?
yeah, roughly every 6 months
So
is
the
what
town
they've
has some
been
sort of
doing.
subscription, you're gonna
We
pay an
do.
annual fee for
We
that?
we pay an annual fee, we have unlimited staff can access it,
Mm.
and we can put it on our website as well.
And so the stuff that's tied into the GIS on the website, that's the most recent, but you, as staff, can go back at that resolution historically?
Yes.
Understood.
Back to roughly 2016, I think it was, that we can do with our logins.
And then you also have, because this is just a top-down view, but you also, as staff, have a view that shows the obliques of all the
Yes.
different north, south, east,
And we don't
wests.
have the entirety of the town in oblique, but it really covers the commercial areas that we'd be most interested in.
And that's great
so,
to help see different elevations and the buildings
yes.
and the
Where
facades.
doorways are.
Yep.
Something's going on in a building, somebody reports a fire or a disturbance, police and fire can log in, and they can actually look around the building to see,
Where's the access
yes.
point, yeah. And the obliques are historical as well, to some degree?
Yeah, to some degree, not as much.
This is awesome, I love this.
Yeah, and we had to sign all kinds of disclaimers, we won't use it for commercial purposes, but I can use it in my reports, any staff can use, we can create maps out of this.
Yeah, if
for
we
our
have an
reports.
application come in and you all decide that this, some exhibit would be helpful for
Yes.
us, you could put a snip of that in your report
Absolutely.
and we could see it,
Yep.
yeah.
And I've already been doing that, so I did that with, I did a zoning board report for a couple of small residential projects, when I was trying to make the pitch to purchase this, and ZBA was like, this is great,
Gold,
if
yeah.
some of the, around the lakes are very steep too, so sometimes a member may have a challenging, time getting down the hill, so they can just really look at this now, so,
It's a great resource.
yep, so just wanted to do a little show and tell on that.
Yeah,
Nice.
nice.
And then the other thing we're working on this summer is the MS4 bylaw review. So that's municipal separate stormwater sewer systems. And we have to get a discharge permit from the EPA every so many years. And so as part of our permit, we have to make sure we're implementing best practices, that our bylaws are as up to date as they could be, that our conservation practices, that our internal staff review process, and everything is, they do it on conventional, better, and best. So right now, we're going through the conservation regulations, the zoning bylaw, the subdivision regulations. So a lot of things, I'm happy to say, we're ranking in better and best. But there are quite a few things that were in conventional. For instance, our pavement width for our roadways is excessive compared to what they want you to have now. So we're evaluating all of that. Ty and Bond is working with us. We'll be coming back with a list of recommendations for changes kind of across the line. But so far, I'm pretty pleased to say that we're ranking pretty well. And then our internal staff processes, we do monthly meetings. In fact, we have one tomorrow. We do technical review, pre-application review, and things like that. So all of that helps. The amount of open space we have in town helps. So all of that's being taken into consideration. So stay tuned. We may have some bylaw work to do after this. 501 Main Street parking lot is done, except for the sign. So we've had some delay in the materials for the signs, but it's open, it can be used. In the meantime, I talked to Heather Blakely at DPW. We're just going to get one of the blue P public parking signs to put there so people know that they can park there.
good.
We'll kind of monitor it over time. We really didn't want to put no overnight parking because, you know, if you think about the distilleries and the restaurants and the breweries that are all within walking distance, you would hate to say no overnight parking and then somebody feels obligated to get in that car and drive it home. So we will monitor it and see if we have issues. We may put up a sign like no camping or something like we don't want people to live in the park, you know,
Yeah.
stay in the
Right,
parking
really,
lot
yeah,
long
yeah.
period. But, you know, we'd rather have you leave your car if you need to leave your car and get a ride home
Maybe
with
something
somebody
that
else.
says not more than 25 hours at once
Right.
or something like that.
Right, exactly. So, you know, so we will keep an eye on that and then go from there. So, but it came out very nice.
It looks great.
Thanks.
Is it lined?
It is.
They mowed the lawn a couple days ago. and
We
it looks
did.
really
I asked
sharp.
if they could mow the lawn because the tourism secretary from the state, Kate Fox, was supposed to be coming out Friday. And due to an issue that's been canceled for this Friday. But I called Heather, I'm like, can you mow the lawn? And she said, I don't know, it might be too new. But she checked with the contractor and they were able to trim it down a little bit, so.
That's nice.
Yep. And then 413 and 419 Main Street, I just wanted to make you aware of this. So this is Dr. Restrepo's property, the 413 on Main, and the dental practice, and there's a hair salon and a yarn shop, and then the Sturbridge Coffee House. As you know, Sturbridge Coffee House has a few parking spaces up top, but the majority are down below, and people want to park as close as they can. So, and unfortunately or fortunately, she's busy. And people can go and be on their laptop or whatever doing work in the coffee house and tend to stay for longer periods of time. And they're, I think, assuming that Dr. Restrepo's parking lot is for the coffee shop. So what's happening is there's 24 employees now between Dr. Restrepo's and the other businesses. So people will go to lunch and they'll come back and they won't be able to go back to work because they can't find a place to park. So we've been going back and forth and spoke to the police department. And at this point, both parties agree that they just need to post the parking. So the 24 employee spaces, we're going to start with those, working from the coffee shop over. Those will be designated for employee. They will be marked that you will be towed. They'll be numbered, so each employee will have their spot. And if they come back from lunch and they can't park, then that person's car is going to be towed. And then PIA did put up signs in the coffee shop saying, you know, please respect our neighbors, this is not our lot. So I feel like I've done all I can do to try to help them with this. And then somebody drove over and damaged a drainage structure, so they put 2 of the concrete barriers, bollards for the parking spaces to block that area so people wouldn't drive into it, and then people thought they were parking spaces, so now they parked and then they blocked the driveway going down below. So now those are going to be painted saying no parking on those, so it's a process. So, and that's all I have.
Okay, we've straightened out the meeting date. Very good. Okay, any old or new business, Dane?
I had one quick note. The other day, I noticed that, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, Keto's Ice Cream and Pizza had an 18-wheeler parked on the side of Route 20 on the sidewalk, getting their delivery from Cisco, I think it was.
Oh, really?
So I assume they have some other loading and offloading.
Yeah, they
I don't-
do, in the
yeah.
back,
Maybe we
yeah.
can just remind their delivery team.
Yeah, okay.
That's all I got.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Gene.
Wally?
I have a question for updates as far as the solar on Haines Street. Where are we staying with that? And the cell tower up on the hill?
So the solar has not started anything yet. They've recorded their permits, which are good for 3 years.
Okay.
The Same with the telecommunications tower. They've recorded their permit, but they did reach out to me. They're going to be installing erosion controls. I sent you all an email that we're
Right.
changing the path of the driveway a little bit to save some trees. So that's been all marked out. Once the erosion controls are in place, I'll go out and inspect those. And we'll have our pre-construction meeting and they'll start. I did let them know I'm out the last week in August and the first week in September and got an email back saying they're going to try to get everything done so I can look at it before I go out on vacation.
On the same note, the tow truck company down on Route 20 towards Brimfield,
We are very close to, so they have one Mass DOT permit now for the stormwater. So they are able, if you might have noticed, they started some more work now, but they still don't have their utility connection permits, so we can only do so much work. So we got another maybe 10 comments back, a couple minor changes, some bonding requirements, insurance requirements. Hopefully, we're almost there.
is this normal?
This year it is.
Okay. Thanks.
Didn't used to be, but this year it is.
Anything else? All set.
All set, thank you.
Sue?
Blueberry Estates,
Yes.
what's going on?
So I've been sending you the construction reports.
Right.
There was one outstanding issue of the tracking pad at the driveway. That's being installed at the end of this week or the beginning of next week. They're actually doing very well. The site's in really good condition. Some of the runoff issues that Dave noted at the last meeting, those are really from the subdivision. So I've also reached out to Matt Sosick, and the subdivision should be done with the exception of final pavement by the end of fall. So, before the end of the construction season, before bad weather. So we'll make sure all the structures are working. He had some issues with contractor and bonding requirements from Mass DOT. So those are, so we're on the right path for that. And then Blueberry Hill Estates, the phase 1 was 12 units. 5 units are under agreement already. People are very interested in them. They're having they have the model home up there. They're doing a lot of showings, and things are going along really well. So,
I'm sorry, you reminded me I had a question. I remember there was a person who had a question about the mailbox is being relocated.
so they're still working on the mailbox with the Postal Service because we can't control that. So it's really up to the Postal Service, and I think they're waiting to see, kind of the final outcome of everything being done before they make a decision.
I think you were mentioning they were hoping to final pave soon, so I was...
They won't final pave this year because
I'm sorry,
Blueberry
I
Hill will have to
misunderstood.
drive over that road, so we really don't want them to final pave because it will just damage the pavement with all the concrete
don't
mixers
disagree.
and things.
I was just thinking it'd be nice if this were figured out before it was finished, but yeah,
Oh,
I hear what you're
definitely,
saying.
yeah,
Okay,
definitely. So it'll be a while before they final pave, though.
awesome. Okay.
And Blueberry Hills will get their mail up at their
Yeah, that'll be a whole different,
development.
yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay,
Anything else, Sue?
yes, thank you.
All set?
Nothing for me.
Great, I have nothing.
Okay.
Okay, motion to adjourn then?
So moved?
I'll second that.
All in favor? Very good. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
All right,
Thank
thanks.
you.
You too.